My name is Whitney Linenberger, and this is my practicum reflection. So I've applied a lot of what I've learned in my courses so far into my classes this year through my practicum. Linguistics, just really, I've tried to take more of an emphasis on language itself and really dissecting words, pulling them apart, looking for meaning in roots, and talking about how this word functions as a verb and how maybe we can turn it into a noun. Things like that. I've really tried to talk students through how I myself do that, and I see that helping even my regular ed students every day. Um, in the assessment course, a lot of that gets really technical, but really I've just tried to take a hard look at what is my assessment really assessing. And especially as a science teacher, so much of what I do when we test is writing, and for my ESL kids, that's an obstacle, and so I really want to know what they know, and so how can I differentiate best for them. Cultural diversity, I really have tried to look at the world from my ESL students' eyes and kind of take a hard look at why school attendance isn't really important for them. That's one of my big frustrations with my kids. And so, I'm just trying to really figure out why it's not a big deal to them and how I can make it more important to them using their culture that they have. And then in methods, really, there was an emphasis on better planning and building background. And so that whole method of how you do that and just be a better teacher, be better prepared, are things that I've really carried through in my practicum. My communication project was sort of a welcome package that I did for our grade school because we have had a lot of kids move into our grade school who need ESL services. And so I talked to my administration about which project might be the best for what we need, and they said, hey, this would be great. And so I worked really hard using Photoshop to make like an interactive map that was written in Spanish so that parents and kids would know where to go. I wrote little bios for each teacher. And I put some key phone numbers for just the town so that parents might be able to access that when they first move. So that was kind of cool because we really needed something to give those parents and kids who were moving in the middle of the year. What aspects have contributed most to my personal and professional growth? I think really just my case studies as a whole have really allowed me to look at those ESL kids not just as students in an academic sense, but as whole people, and really being able to pinpoint, where their struggles are tied to their ESL. And most of the time it's a direct correlation. Before, I didn't have that background knowledge, so it was like, well, you're just not trying, or they're just not intelligent, they're just not getting it. And so now I'm a lot of times able to really address problems because I know the root of it, and I can go in and say, okay, well, because we know that you know Spanish, you're probably struggling with this language skill, because let's figure this out, see how it's different, yada, yada, yada. The log was really interesting because you don't realize how much time you really have to take to plan a lesson. And then, of course, the pacing for me is always the biggest struggle. So executing them was sometimes a little different than I thought was going to happen. And also the data collection was kind of eye-opening, going from the case studies at the beginning to the case studies at the end of the year. As I continue growing as a teacher, I really want to continue to look at best practices for ESL kids. I feel like I've been exposed to a lot of them, but there's always new stuff being written. And I really feel like data is going to be more important. I'm excited we're giving the MAP test for the first time this year, and I really want to look at those kids' scores and see how they did. Just simply because I've been differentiating more and more as the year has gone on, and how can I continue to do that effectively and more efficiently? I feel like it's taking me a lot of time. Can I get better at it as I go? So that's my reflection.